I want to bring in our powerhouse panel with the former Lieutenant Governor of New York Post columnist and Newsmax contributor Betsy McCaughey, constitutional and civil rights attorney Amir Benno, and Project 21 National Advisory Board member Christopher Arps. Christopher, I want to come to you. We've obviously been talking about this devastating string of storms that rocked the Midwest and the South. You were in your basement last night because of these storms. Talk to us about that experience.
Yes, my wife and I, we spent the evening in the basement. There were two separate tornado warnings. Our phones went off. You know, I've grown up in Missouri, which is part of Tornado Alley, but this is something that you never really get used to. As you guys reported earlier, right across the river in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is probably about 20 minutes from my home, an Amazon fulfillment center was severely damaged, and they reported this morning in our local paper that there were some fatalities. You know, when it gets 60 and 70 degrees in December and in November, people that live around here know that that is potential tornado weather, and we experienced that yesterday.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the things we were just talking, Amanda and I were just talking about this, that when you're on the East Coast or you're in the Northeast and you have a 50 or 60 degree day in December, it's kind of a nice thing. You string your Christmas lights on a day like that. But
Right.
when you have this collision of cold air with that unseasonably warm air, it can be a very dangerous situation. All right, thank you very much for that personal experience, Chris. And I want to move on to some other topics, but we are going to continue to keep an eye on this string of storms as we go through the morning here at Newsmax. The Biden administration not paying attention, even with a crime wave rippling from coast to coast, with retailers reaching out and asking for help in protecting their businesses. This week, 12 cities posted homicide records, but the left continues to downplay the crisis. The Philadelphia district attorney, a Soros-backed leftist, went as far as to say this. Take a listen.
We don't have a crisis of lawlessness. We don't have a crisis of crime. We don't have a crisis of violence.
Now, then he got called out for his tone deafness and ended up having to walk back his comments. Take a look at this tweet stressing that he has to kind of watch what he says. Chris, I want to come back to you on this. The people who are dying in the streets are not the white folks on Park Avenue, to use a New York reference, okay? They're lower income and minorities. They are the same people that when you see a crime wave, they are on the front lines. They get hurt the most and they get hurt first. But Democrats seem to just want to say there's nothing to see here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that comment that the Philadelphia district attorney made was absolutely ridiculous. St. Louis is always rated #1 or #2 in homicides and in crime. And as you alluded to, we also have a George Soros-supported Democratic prosecutor here who believes that her first duty is to be a social worker instead of putting dangerous criminals behind bars. And as you said, it's African Americans and other minorities and low-income areas are the ones that are suffering from this.
Yeah, and just the idea that they don't seem to care that, I mean, and the numbers are in the hundreds of folks that have been killed on these streets, and it's just like, okay, you know, it's about COVID, it's nothing too much to see here. I think it's so it sends a message to, I think, to the black community and the Latino community
let's look at what the White House
Betsy
is saying about it.
Yeah.
White House correspondent Jen Psaki in the ultimate Psaki dodge says the root cause of this surge in crime is, believe it or not, COVID, the virus. Look, I've never seen a perpetrator brought before a judge who says, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I did it because of the virus. No, criminals commit crimes. And the reason we're having this crime surge is defund the police, right? And laws throughout the country that eliminate bail requirements for violent arrestees. Those are the two reasons. In all the 12 cities that have huge surges in crime, Columbus, Ohio, St. Louis, Indianapolis, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, they have all put into place those crazy policies.
Betsy, I gotta give Amir the last word. Amir.
I completely agree with what Betsy and Chris have said. I mean, I think the three reasons are defund the police and this air of maligning law enforcement. Two, I think it is the elimination of cash bail. And three, as Chris said, It has to do with progressive prosecutors and people like Kimberly Fox in Chicago, and this guy in Philadelphia, Chesa Boudin in San Francisco, George Gascon in LA. These guys are doing damage to our communities. And so those are the real root causes.
All right, and I thought that Black Lives mattered, but apparently they don't. I want to thank our panel. Thank you for bearing with us with all the breaking news this morning. Great conversation today.